there hobos in El Toro?
I don't know. No, I don't think
Um,
so.
no, I mean, I think there were a couple of guards were killed, but they were just, they were in our way.
Yeah.
So
They had it coming to them, being in our way.
Yeah. They have, 50 kids to replace them, yeah.
Okay, so previously in Tyranny of Dragons, Thokk brilliantly defeated the Minotaur in a duel, using his wits to overcome the menacing creature and causing him to trip and fall overboard. But it seems the duel was a diversion. Roscoe was stabbed by an invisible halfling assassin and was revived by Thokk, who healed the grievous wound. Tal and Devlin held the assassin while Captain Durana considered her options. In her cabin, she revealed that she and part of her crew, Saida included, are fleeing a Charlton witch called Morgaya. She doesn't know how Roscoe is involved, but she promised to set sail to El Turel and investigate whatever she can in its library. She wanted to keep the halfling assassin for interrogation, but promised Roscoe that she'll deliver him to the temple when she's done with him. Obviously, she never thought that Morgaya's hand will be long enough to reach up north, but obviously she was mistaken. During the conversation and after the merchant Nathak Hornswallow mentioned his incident with the convoy, Roscoe, with a chain of deduction, realized that the convoy was probably transporting the loot collected by the dragon cultists who are responsible for the raids on small settlements along the Sword Coast, including Greenest, the small town you started this campaign at. Nathak suggested that you will hide at his small residence in Baldur's Gate, where you can plot a way to find Grimalk, the caravan master who ordered him dead, and settle the score. After dropping you at Worm's Crossing, the mighty bridge that connects the two sides of the Shontir River that leads to Baldur's Gate, the Zerkanan left, and you passed through the outer city, which is a sprawling, chaotic network of poverty-stricken districts, and you encountered a baker being extorted for protection by several thugs. Tired from your journey and unable to, simply walk through, you decided to confront those thugs and you scare them off, but they promised they will be back. At this, the baker who you just helped looks at you, walks right into his bakery, closes the door, and turns the open sign, noting that his shop is now closed. Nathak looks at you and the baker, shrugs, and opens his small sack and is doing something, is searching something in there while you all stand in front of the bakery. What do you want to do?
Could have given us some sandwiches or something. That's just downright rude.
So he simply walked into his bakery and shut the door, basically.
was this the bakery that had the Harper's sign on the apron, or
it had?
I mean, not that this concerns Roscoe at all, but just
Yes, he had a harp, kind of painted on his apron. Yes.
Maybe it's a good idea for us to find somewhere to rest.
So when you say that, Nathak basically turns around and grins at you, and you can see that he now bears this big, long mustache and beard that weren't there before. Now you obviously see it as something he just glued on his face, and he looks at you and says, "Well, I can't be recognized like this, right?"
No, of course not.
Hey, who are you? Where's Nathak?
He is obviously very should I say it, complimented by your comments, and says, Roscoe, you lead the way. I live in the Black Gate district. And he holds out a paper, small paper with his street and address.
Okay, I'll take note of it, and
Does his disguise look fairly decent, or does it look completely cheesy?
So it looks cheesy, but indeed with this beard, it's kind of hard to, recognize the face beneath it. So he might pass as a stranger, or but if someone who really knows him will see him, he'll probably recognize him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell him to hang on just a second. I'm gonna reach into my disguise kit and add some bushy eyebrows and
Awesome. So I need
straighten his beard.
Great. So what do you roll for that if you want to actually help him? Is it I don't know, deception, or roll something? Some relevant skill. Okay. So yes, with your improvements, he does look very different, and you are quite positive that even people who really know him will have trouble to recognize him. He tells you, Roscoe, to simply head to the Running Stag Street, and his house is number 42.
do I know of a more sort of like secret way to get there that we can avoid passing any security checkpoints?
So yes, you basically have this interesting trait. So I needed to roll, I don't know, a wisdom or intelligence check, and do
Hopefully not intelligence, but
so whatever works for you. Yeah.
um, maybe survival to find a path.
Survival isn't actually what you seek. Maybe history will do good, or simply a wisdom check if you don't have anything. Okay. So you kind of scratch your head and you say, yeah, I know a road, and Nathek is happy to let you lead the way.
Thokk, considering that we're all kind of wanted people, maybe, do you have any more eyebrows in your disguise kit?
Sure.
So Thokk, if you want to help the others disguise themselves, roll another deception check, basically for all the group. Great. Okay, so you all walk off as a bunch of people who have never been seen before in Baldur's Gate. Definitely not on wanted posters or something like that.
Good.
Yeah, fake eyebrows, fake hair, fake mustaches.
2-inch lifts for the halfling.
Yeah.
I'll have a scar just on my cheek, you know, 'cause like you're supposed to as part of your disguise. So I'm just going to have a little scar where maybe I've been cut, you know, and.
Okay. So, Roscoe, you lead your friends through the outer city. Now, Nathek explains that merchandising that comes from the sea is offloaded at the port, is manually hauled through the city to the northern gate, and then loaded on carts. So it can, be shipped elsewhere. If you come on foot, you have to basically use your carts to pass through the outer city, but then at the gates, you have to, again, offload your cargo, since beast of burden and carriages and mercantile caravans aren't allowed in Baldur's Gate. So there's a whole host of people whose job is to basically offload wagons and load them on their shoulders. There's a special contraption that they used, so it will be easier for them to carry it, and then they simply walk through the gate. So he just tells you that, so you'll know.
I am going to make a detailed sort of map of how we got here, because this secret way in, I'd like to go back to the baker later on. So I want to make a really detailed map of how to get back to him sneakily and quietly.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, am keeping my eye out for either an apothecary or a healer shop or someplace that might carry healing potions.
Okay. So as you pass through the outer city, Thokk, you indeed spot a small shrine that bears the sign of the Knights of the Shield. Now, this is like a mysterious sect of problem solvers in the world, but all they have are small shrines and outposts, never a fully blown temple. So you do see a small structure, dome-shaped, made of brick and mortar, very simple and almost like army-like, no decorations. And you can see two people basically are standing there talking among themselves just in front of the opening to this place. They seem like working men, big hands, rough-looking men, but they are talking or arguing about something. You can't hear it from here.
I'm gonna move a little closer and see if I can eavesdrop on the conversation.
Okay, roll your perception, and as you kind of before you even start to walk there, Nathek notice your interest. He says, if you want a temple of some sort, there is a big temple dedicated to Gond, the High Artificer. In Baldur's Gate. In the outer city, you'll probably only see small shrines. But then he simply watches you as you walk there.
Okay, 17 on perception.
Okay, so you do hear parts of their conversation, and it seems like two Kalishite refugees. As I told you last session, the whole outer city is basically built by refugees who came to Baldur's Gate in recent years, and there's a small Kalishite, like small city within a city. And these two are definitely Kalishite, and they seem to be talking about dragon sightings at Baldur's Gate. I'm telling you, it was a blue dragon. And then the other one says, no, it was definitely a black dragon. You mix it all up. And then they discuss rumors about sighting of a half dragon walking in the streets of Baldur's Gate with a veil to conceal her identity, but some street boys say definitely a half dragon visited here like a week ago, and they basically are thinking about enlisting the help of those knights of the shield, but obviously they don't have a lot of coins, so they think about maybe we should offer them bread, or I have a couple of chickens and 3 silver pieces that my family collected for 5 years. Maybe we should give it to them, and then they will investigate this, because a dragon will obviously land in the outer city and devastate everything within here. He wouldn't dare approach the city proper itself, right? And then the other said, no, never. Don't waste your money on this. We'll simply talk to them and everything will be okay.
Excuse me.
So basically, this is their conversation.
Does it look as if they are motioning towards the priest?
So you don't see any priest around, only an opening, but they obviously debate what to do before they enter. You have a feeling that this is what it's about. But you don't hear the conversation, only Thokk does.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna rejoin the rest of the group and let them know that people are talking about having seen a blue or a black dragon in the area. Maybe our patron is near.
Excuse me? I don't think you've told him about the blue dragon thing, so he sort of, pardon?
I mean, I think I maybe.
Long story. We'll fill you in when we're not standing in the street.
Okay.
Okay. So Roscoe, you lead your friends. And I need Thokk to make a perception check again, because you said you'll be keeping your eyes... Oh, sorry, you said you'll be keeping your eyes open for a shrine or a temple, right? Okay.
Actually, any place where I think they might sell just be selling healing potions.
Okay. So through the outer city, you don't see any more places you think will... sell potions, but you have heard about the sorceress Sundaries. I think Nathek mentioned it. It's kind of a magic shop in Baldur's Gate, so you might get lucky there.
Would Roscoe happen to know of an apothecary in the neighborhood?
Yes.
He lived here for a while, and I mean, I don't know if I suppose Thokk has communicated that he's looking for this.
Right. So you are familiar of a small, what should I say, a small shack or residence, or however you want to call it, with an old tiefling living in it, and she's basically a fortune teller, and rumor says she will sell you, potions and magical trinkets that will, protect you and save you from ghosts and give you good luck, etc. Her name is Gomori. And she lives in the outer city.
Would Roscoe, trust this woman at all? Do I think that she's, a reliable source of or do I think that she's kind of like a charlatan?
No, you don't think she's a charlatan. She honestly tries to help, but you're not sure of the origin of her skills. Is it simply a gift? Is she a sorceress or a witch or something like that? You're not really sure.
Is her stuff cheaper than in this
yes,
the main magic shop?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely.
So I'll mention her then to Thokk, because I think he might be interested.
Absolutely. Lead on.
Okay, Nathak, we're gonna go to Gomori's shack now. It's not really on the way, but it's kind of on the way, and but we're all disguised, so it's fine.
He says, fine, sure. If you have the need, then of course. So Roscoe, you lead your friends, and you pass through muddy trails and the maze of shacks and crumbling residences and small shops that are, people built with their own hands, sort of say. And you indeed find her house. So it's like one main stone room that was that has additional rooms made from tents. So it looks very simple and obviously not of good shape. But you can see several kids kind of playing in the yard there. A small vegetable garden, and there is a scent of cooking. Something is being cooked. Maybe a good soup, maybe roasted chickens. You're not really sure, but some pleasant smells come from what's supposed to be her kitchen.
Well, Thokk, this is where Gamori lives and works, and this is her shop. So maybe let's go in.
Is there an obvious shop, or is it just a house?
It's a house.
I'll go knock on the door.
So the door is wide open. The kids who play at the yard simply surround you and pull your clothes a little bit and kind of dance around you and shout and scream. Yeah.
I keep a hand on my coin purse because I know that that's what I used to do.
Yeah.
I was picking pockets.
Okay. So you two roll perception checks.
I am aware that there is nothing to be aware of.
So Roscoe, you do see one kid with gleaming eyes approach you with a trembling hand, but then as you spot him, he simply ducks and runs. And then Thokk, you kind of look back as two children basically poke you, and when you turn back, you can see this old tiefling, deep red skin, yellowish eyes, and small protruding horns that protrude from a mess of grayish hair. She's wearing a simple dress, and she looks at you and talks to one of the kids, and she says, "Oh, Nadir, please give it back, not yours." And one of the kids kind of hands you back your purse.
I take it back and I compliment the child on his nimble fingers.
He smiles, showing you teeth in really bad state, and then he returns to his friends. And Gamori looks at the two of you and says, "What an odd couple. What do you need? Do you want to eat something?"
Food would be lovely, but my small friend here tells me that you at one time were a provider for healing balms and potions.
But yes, of course, I do have some. I haven't prepared some in a while, but maybe I have some old, not old, I mean, but, stuff I prepared like a week or two ago. Please come in. And she
follow her in.
Okay, she leads you to a small, to the only stone room she has in her house. Now think about it as an L-shaped structure, very, very tight. And there is only a table in it, several windows, and like 3 ovens made of stone, and obviously something is cooking within those ovens. And any other place in the room is basically covered with pots and trays and frying pans, everything with food in it. You're not sure what army is supposed to eat all that, but there it is.
How much is the food?
You ask about how much you will charge for to eat.
Yeah.
2 coppers if you want just a soup, and 4 copper if you want to have a full meal with bread, some soup, meat in it, and I will even throw in a small dessert. I have dried dates that I prepare myself.
Does the food look like it will instantly poison me if I eat it, as in it's really badly made?
No, you actually think
Sorry, I
that
lost sound. What was that?
Damien asked if the food looks badly made. And no, it actually looks delicious. It's simple, so it's like, tribal food, not too many spices, not too many components, but it looks tasty.
I'll hand over the full copper for it, yeah, and I'll definitely have something to eat, and the dessert as well.
Okay. So she produces a small tray, uses a spoon to fill your plate, and then she hands you your tray with half a loaf of bread, soup with some meat and carrots, and some more spices in it, potatoes, and it smells wonderful. And she points at one of the tents where you have pillows on the floor. You can simply sit there and eat. And then she looks at Roscoe, Tal, and Thokk. Something I can get you beside your special order?
Do you still tell fortunes?
Not anymore, not since the last time. I got into some trouble after I told the fortune of a flaming fist officer. I told him that his wife will be unfaithful, and he discovered that this was indeed the case. He got back here and said I caused it, that I somehow convinced his wife to be unfaithful, so my false fortune telling will be true. Obviously total nonsense, but
I will say something, but I've got a mouthful of food, so it'll be along the lines of, "Oh, that's real fair. I'm sorry for that."
she smiles and says, well, I do see you enjoy your dish, which is great. Let me know if you want anything else in addition. And then she looks at you, Roscoe, and says, why are you so concerned about your fortune? You all look like you are doing pretty well passing through Baldur's Gate.
Well, I guess a number of reasons. For one, there's a devil in the outside of the gates of hell that feels sorry for me. I'm not sure why. Also, I lost my family, and I want to know where my parents are, and where my sister is, and where Leosin is, my mentor. So I have a lot of questions.
Well, if you do want, I can probably do a reading for you, as long as you don't come barge in 2 days from now and demand a refund or something worse, please.
I'm not in the Flaming Fists.
Well then, in this case, she simply hands you a cup of coffee that was kind of boiling on one of her ovens. It's a really small one, and she says, please drink it at your own time, but leave the grains inside. I will do the reading then.
Oh, okay. How much is the reading? I just want to make sure I can afford it.
The reading is a bit costly. It will cost you 1 silver piece.
Oh, okay. I can afford it.
She says, well, yes, not all of us can afford such sums, unfortunately. And then she goes back to one of her tents, pointing at you, Thokk, and she says, you young man, please follow. I will find something that suits you.
I'll follow along.
Okay. So what is it you need from her?
I'm just looking to see what she has in the way of healing potions
Okay.
or any other similar items that might be useful.
Okay. So in one of her tents, she opens up a small basket. You can see that it's full of, dried beans. She sticks her hand deep inside, kind of ruffles its content, and then she says, "Ooh, I found it." And then she produces a small stone. It's kind of a grayish stone with sparkles of blue in it. And she says, "Well, this will heal you if you break the stone and drink the liquid inside. This is something made by stone giants."
Does she seem to be sincere in this, or?
You can roll your insight check.
17?
So with a 17, you're not sure about the stone giant thing, but you do feel that she tells the truth about the property of this stone. And she gives it to you and says, "Here, shake it. You can hear the water inside. Water trapped in a stone."
And what would your price be for such a wondrous item?
Well, this is a truly rare treasure. This isn't something that you can find everywhere. Now, the Temple of Gond will charge 50 gold pieces for an item equal in its healing powers. Probably a potion or something like that. For you, I will only charge 20 pieces of gold. And she looks at you like she's never gonna get that much gold in her life, but you can read it pretty easily that she kind of, shot as high as possible and is waiting for you to do something with it.
My prices in the city prices in the big city do seem to be high. Would you accept 10?
10? Well, 10 is a little bit. It must be worth more. I'll tell you what. I will give you 2 stones for the price of 25 gold.
Done.
Okay, she smiles, reaches out and produces another stone, and she hands those stones to you. These are indeed the equivalent of a healing potion, but they only heal 2d4 points of damage instead of 2d4 plus 2.
Sounds like a bargain. So if you're not going to give the money out, I may do, actually, for one of them.
No, I took them both.
Okay. And when you touch the stone, you have a feeling that you can maybe crush them together, or crush it with your hand. You're probably powerful enough to do that. These are not stones that are hard to break. Okay, she then looks at you and says, "Anything else I can help you with?"
No, this will be wonderful. Thank you.
Well, happy to.
Although that stew did smell good.
So come and eat. And she collects the gold with trembling hands and then puts it in her dress pocket. When she goes back to the main room, to the main kitchen, she looks at whoever is not eating, offering a dish. Anyone else wants to take one?
Well, I finished my coffee, so
Okay.
maybe I'll eat after the reading. Depends on what I find out. Maybe I won't have the stomach for it.
Okay. So, in this case, she will take the coffee and invite you to sit in front of her in another tent that is separated by the tent that Devlin is eating at by small cloth. 2 pillows, a very very low table. It's not really a table; it's like a small stool, but with the legs chopped off, so it's basically like knee height. And you sit in front of each other.
And I'll hand her a silver right away. I feel like you should pay up front, this kind of thing.
Okay. So she takes your silver coin, places it on the table, and then flips the cup of coffee on top of it. And then she looks at you and says, "Are you ready?"
Yes, please.
And then she flips back the cup of coffee, and on the coin, the grains of the coffee kind of fell on top of it and formed something that looks like a castle. And she looks at it and says, "This is very interesting. You are about to embark upon a journey, I see. A journey to this place. I see." And then she basically, is hovering her hand above the coin, and she closes her eyes and she says, "I see a castle, a fort shrouded in mist, surrounded by swampland. I see a great eye looking at the sky, and I see a bridge, a gap, a passageway to a far, far away place where you will find..." And then she opens up her eyes, and then she says, "Your mother."
Okay, so there's a castle in a swamp, and there's an eye looking at the sky, and there's a bridge with a gap going to a faraway place where my mother is. Is that that's not the castle, right? That's somewhere else?
Yes.
Where do you know what's the faraway place?
I have no idea. I just saw what vision the gods have decided to share with me. I do not know where this place is.
A bridge with a gap. Have you heard of any bridges with gaps?
She looks at you in confusion and says, "No. I have not. There is Worm's Crossing, but the bridge is intact as far as I can tell."
Yes. Oh, well, my mother is there. At least she's alive. That's good news. Do you get a sense if she's okay or if she needs help?
She smiles and says, "Oh, I think she's okay. I think everything is okay."
Do I believe her?
No, you don't need to insight that even. You do feel that she is trembling and probably doesn't want to say anything else about the subject.
Why are you trembling?
Oh, it's a bit cold. Sometimes those reading tire me. I must go back to my cooking. All those kids will be here soon and somebody has to feed them. Are you on your way to Baldur's Gate?
Yes.
Well, could you please, along the way, near the gate, there is a small shop. He deals with flour and beans and potatoes. Could you give him that?" And she takes one of the gold coins that Thokk gave her, and she places it in your hand, Roscoe, and says, tell him that his name is Kadir. Tell him that Gomorin is paying for the last shipment."
You know, Gomori, I bet. You know, I used to be a beggar here when I was just a couple years ago, actually, and I probably ate at your kitchen more than once. So you know what? I owe you. So you keep the gold, and I'll pay him out of my own money.
She looks at you.
Because I'm rich now.
She looks at you in surprise and says, "Well, that's a turn of a good fortune. Thank you."
Thank you.
Okay. Nathek kind of outside her tent. He didn't enter it. "Well, are we going? I mean, I'm missing my hot tub."
Nathek, have you ever heard of a bridge with a gap?
"A bridge with a gap? Well, I've traveled far and wide. Never saw any bridges worth mentioning with a gap. The high road isn't well maintained between Baldur's Gate and Waterdeep, so yes, some bridges there have crumbled. But you can simply walk beneath them or around them, so not a very big problem." "I did hear that Lord Neverember from Neverwinter is financing a rebuild of the high road between Waterdeep and Neverwinter, so probably less bridges with gaps there."
I guess that's good. You know, you could come in and have a meal, Nathek. It looks good.
"Oh, I have a housekeeper that keeps my house warm and the oven warm and the hot tub warm. Well, I like warm things. So if we'll simply hurry along and get there, we can finally find some rest and eat and wash our clothes and spend some time in the hot tub, which should be amazing after all this dirt of the road."
Yeah, oh, by the way, we have to make another stop on the way. It will be quick, though. Just at a grocery store. I have to give Khalid some money.
He rolls his eyes and says, "Well, yes, of course." So you leave Gomori's house, and indeed, just in front of the gate, which is guarded by a flaming fist patrol, you can see this. There are a lot of like carts and people who simply offer their merchant to trade. Obviously, they're not allowed in the city, so some of them, the poorer, are selling their stuff here. You quickly find Gadir and hand him the gold coin. He thanks you and say that Gomori is never too late with her payments. So he tells you if you see her again, simply say thank you, and that's no problem, no interest, no nothing. If she's late in a week, then she's late in a week. I trust her. She's a good woman.
Yeah, she is. She's very good.
The Flaming Fists are not paying you any attention. They all they see is a group of strangers, adventurers probably, walk into the city. Their shiny breastplates and red feathered decorated helmets kind of gleam in the sunlight. They simply look at you and allow you to pass by. You do see a a purple-robed man holding a ledger and a quill, and he's kind of eyeing the crowd who passes through into the city and simply writing things down. The only interesting thing about him is that he has this monocle that he is wearing over one eye, and as he looks at you, Thokk, Roscoe, Devlin, and Tal, you kind of feel, I don't know, strange, like you were stripped off your clothes and were seen naked in front of this man. But as fast as this sensation comes, it simply goes away.
Can anyone detect magic? Because that feels a little strange. As if he was looking at us with, I don't know, some kind of magical ability or spells.
I raise my hand. I think I'm capable of detecting magic compared to all of us.
Cool. Maybe a good idea to have a little look at him.
I put my hand in front of him and I go, do you want to roll?
So you have the ability to cast detect magic?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Devlin is waiting for your answer, so he's sort of standing there in anticipation of the wonder that is detect whatever.
I look at him with a confident face and I go, he certainly looks magical.
Okay. Nathek says, well, why are you standing here and staring at, everything? You haven't been in a big city before.
No.
Oh, well, in that case. And he looks at you, Roscoe. How about taking us through the alleys of the Dragon Way?
Sure. Yeah, that's the way I was gonna go myself. That sounds like, yes.
All the tourists are encouraged to follow that way. It's a simple straight way that crosses through the city, and there's a lot of shops and displays of the many riches of the city. It should be fun.
The name doesn't sound too friendly, though.
What doesn't seem so?
If only we hadn't lost our party treasure.
So, sorry, I heard it twice. What did you say, Will?
Oh, I said if only we hadn't lost our party treasury.
Where have you lost it? For some reason, I don't recall.
Well, we got teleported from the pyramid to El Terrell by way of hell, and I don't think the chests of gold went with us.
Right. Yep. But you do have some, I think, gold left, right?
Yeah, we got what we had on us, but we don't have the chests of the trading bars that Blue gave us.
Yes, and the diamond?
Yeah, we have the diamond.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so as you go through the Dragon Way with both Natek and Roscoe kind of, crisscross this very large and bustling tradeway, you noticed a very interesting thing. You do see those people who are hired to carry loads through the city, but to avoid pickpockets and any other acts of thievery, they have this interesting contraption. They wear a harness from which two high poles are it's tied one to each of their hands, and between those poles, like 3 feet above their heads, there is a big basket, and there the merchant goes, and this is the way they kind of cross through the city, and you can see, like, hundreds of these men sweating and cursing and pushing their way through the streets and through the crowd. So you have this first-hand view of how Baldur's Gate business is taking place.
I'll write that down, because I think that's something my society may want to know.
Okay. Thokk, when traveling through this dragon way, your eyes kind of run from one shop display to another, and then you see something that freezes you on the spot on an art show display, an art shop display. There's a lot of paintings and statues and all kinds of decorative, artistic items. You see a painting that catches your eyes because the painting is of Talis. Now, this is not a painting per se. It's like a pencil sketch. You think that it was hurriedly made, but yet it's a very very exact and very reflecting of her personality and kind of facial traits. So kind of freeze in place.
I'm gonna make my way over to the shop.
And Nathan says, "Oh, what now?"
Who is Talis, actually? Do I know her?
No, none of you know her. You simply watch Thokk kind of veer to the side and heads straight for the art shop.
She's an old friend of his, and I sort of put "friend" in air quotes, and I wink at Devlin, and I say, he seems, really, really, really concerned about what happened to her. Like, really.
Are they sort of,
I mean,
and he'll sort of give you a sort of a nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more.
And I'll say, I'll do the gesture where you make, it's like the okay gesture, and then you're shoving your finger in and out of the O, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because Roscoe isn't subtle at all. Yeah. I think they're banging.
Oh, wow. Okay. Who is she in anyway, without... Because I have no idea who she is. Is she someone famous? Like a famous minstrel or bard, or...
I never heard of her before. I mean, at times I've kind of thought that she's like his imaginary girlfriend. But, there's evidence that she exists. So, I guess she's real. So that's, there's some proof.
Right. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't kick her out of the haystack, to be quite honest, because she is good looking. So, yeah, I can see that. Not what she sees in him, but hey, whatever floats your gondola.
I've gone into the shop. I have no idea what they're talking about.
Okay. So the door opens and a small bell rings out. You immediately are assailed with the scent of drying paint and thinners, and like the smell of freshly pressed paper, and a very, very soft voice greets you. "Hello? Can I help you?"
The sketch in the window.
So you are talking to this very, very young elf, pure blonde hair, blue eyes, like the classic kitschy description of an elf, beside the fact that he's very, very young. And interesting thing is that you can see that his fingers are really, really long and delicate. And he says, well, there's a lot of pictures in the window. And he's smiling as he says that, like he's talking to a child. What exactly picture are you interested in?
The pencil sketch of the young woman.
Oh, interesting. Let me see. What was her name? Something half-elf. Talis. Yes, Talis. She was.
That's the one. Who drew it?
Oh, that's me. She came here and asked for a quick sketch, and told me to save it for her, if possible, on the display window. Then she'll come back and take it, but she never did.
How long ago was that?
Oh, it was quite a long time ago, maybe 4 or 5 weeks. She looked like in a hurry and said that it's really important that the painting, that the drawing will be on display. She even gave me 5 gold to make sure I do so, but obviously I'm a man of my promise, and I did exactly as she asked.
Did she say where she was staying?
Oh, no, she simply came here and asked me to draw her. I thought it was a souvenir for someone, but as I said, she never came to retrieve it.
Kind of a weird decision to make, to have your own painting if you're in a hurry. Your tale is very sketchy.
So you're here with him, Tal?
Nice.
I hide. I run out away from them. I was stooping behind them.
Okay. So the elf looks at you, and he kind of straighten up and broaden his shoulders and tries to look as respectable as possible, and says, Sariel Cardonnel does never, ever tell sketchy stories. I told you the truth as it is. And then he looks at you. He looks at you apologetically, Thokk, and says, "Well, my business is brand new. I'm only established here for the last 2 months. I will take any coin that is, placed in front of me, as long as it paid for my art."
Since it's been in your window for so many weeks and she hasn't come back, may I purchase it from you?
Well, that's a very, I don't know. I need to think about it. What happens if she comes back?
Well, you can tell her I have it, and I'll tell you where I'm staying. She's an old friend. I've been looking for her.
Oh, so yes, maybe this is the best way. She didn't come after all, and it has passed a long time, and if I'll keep it on display, it will eventually yellow out and will be unrecognizable. So maybe it's better if you take it, and when you find her, tell her I was hoping she will return for it. And he walks to the window and pulls out this drawing, and it was glued on like a thin layer of wood, so it will stay firm. And he hands you to it, and then he says, "Oh, that's odd. Obviously, someone wrote something on the board from behind. Let me just simply clean it for you."
That's all right. I'll take it as it is.
Okay. Well, and he looks at the writing and says, "Yes, a bunch of nonsense. I will talk to my assistant. Tell him to never do that again. Customers don't ask for nonsense or signatures on their painting. Well, here you go." And he wraps it in another sheet of paper, and then like a cloth, not cloth, but a piece of leather, kind of wraps it in and hands it to you, and says she paid 5 gold, which is a lot more than I would charge for this. So all this packaging is on me, on the house.
Thank you very much, kind sir. And if she should come looking for her portrait, tell her that her friend Thokk picked it up, and that I'm staying with Northern Hornswallow on running Stag Street.
He smiles and writes it down and says, well, of course I will do that. Thank you. Okay, then he
if
turns...
Roscoe had been in there, he would think, okay, so we're fugitive from the law, and we're giving our real names and our address to a merchant in the city. But Roscoe's not there, so he can't.
Nobody in El Terrell ever asked my name.
Oh.
So then Serial leaves and he goes downstairs. There's a staircase, and you can hear him, saying something like sharp to his assistant, probably. And you can hear them argue. The assistant says, I didn't draw anything on any painting. And Serial says, yes, you did. I just saw it, etc., etc. Okay, so you're out of the shop, and Nathan kind of rolls his eyes as he sees Thokk with a big painting in his hands, but he kind of shrugs and say, come on, let's go.
What's the size of the painting?
So like probably half your body. I don't know, 3 feet tall, 1.5 feet wide. You obviously believe that it was meant to be seen, so this isn't a small sketch.
It wasn't subtle. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Oh, Doc, can we get a closer look at your girlfriend?
When we get somewhere safe, or at least safer. And she's not my girlfriend, more like a sister.
Okay. Is the Sorcerer's Sundries on the way to where we're going? Is it sort of in this general neighborhood, or is it a different district?
It's a different district. That one that belonged to the upper city, where
Okay.
it's the rich live there. Blackgate is like for the middle class. Okay, so Roscoe, you and Nathek continue to lead your friend, and eventually you reach to this 2-story house. The first floor is a rug shop, which is closed right now, but is displaying on its windows a lot of different fabrics and rugs of various colors and designs. But since this isn't the Dragon Way, so people aren't shopping on the street. People usually come to these places like for a meeting, and then they buy what they need. Nathek produces a small key, opens up the door, takes you through the shop, which it was obviously closed for a while now, and then there's a staircase that leads to the second floor. He knocks on the door, and then a middle-aged woman of Kalishite origin, like a brownish skin, dark eyes, still dark hair, opens the door and smiles at him, and he lets you all in and say, Roscoe, Tal, Thokk, Devlin, meet Zahra. She is my housekeeper. She keeps my house warm, my food warm, and my clothes neat and tidy. Zahra, these are Roscoe, Tal, Thokk, and Devlin, my companions, who I owe them my life.
Hi, Zara. Nice to meet you. I'm Roscoe Trufflenose.
I will step over to her and say, "It's a pleasure to meet you." Take her hand and kiss the back of her hand.
So she smiles and blushes, obviously not used to such treatment. And then she says, please come in. I will make the tub ready for you and will clean your clothes. And she looks at Nathak and says, food, would you want me to prepare an early lunch or late breakfast? And he nods in appreciation and delight and says, yes, please make sure our guests are comfortable. I'll be heading out for some arrangement. And he looks at the four of you and says, please stay here and I will get back with some gifts for you. You did help me a lot in those recent times, and I do feel that I owe you. Then we can discuss our plans to get rid of Grimlock. He turns to Zara and says, if anyone asks, I am still gone and away. You can say that my cousin, Loro, is here for a visit, and keep it at that. And she smiles and says, of course. And then he leaves.
Because we're hiding from the guard.
Yep. You feel that this is why he said it.
Yeah, but Roscoe just feels the need to say that out loud because he's dumb.
Oh, I see. Got it. So she smiles and says, well, as always, this is fine. I'm used to it. And she then stops and says, keeping my mouth shut, that is.
You're not keeping any spiders around here, are you?
Spiders? Well, unless you call my little boy a spider, which sometimes I do. She kind of invites this young Kalishite boy. Interestingly, he has blue eyes, but he definitely has the dark hair and dark skin of his mother. And she says, this is Khalid. We live in Nathak's house in return for keeping it pleasant and clean and ready for his returns from his travels.
Hi, Khalid.
He smiles, waves at you, and bolts out of the room. Zara collects your belonging, whatever you are, feeling free to give her, and she says, "We don't have a lot of rooms, but I do have 2 rooms I can spare for you. But please don't sit on the beds until you are after the shower." And she points at another room, which is a very simple room, bare, but one big mirror and a huge bronze hot tub. And she smiles and says, "Made by dwarves. Nathak paid a lot for it. You can use it to clean yourself up. There's soap and towels, and if you pour the hot waters here, it will produce a lot of steam, so you will get extra cleansing and a relaxing stay."
I look forward to it.
Before anything else, do you have a whetstone?
A whetstone? Of course.
I don't have to pay for it, right?
No. You are guests at Nathak's residence. Everything here, you can treat this place as if it is your own house.
Music to my ear.
She then looks at Thokk. Do you want me to take this for you? She points at the painting.
No, thank you.
Well, of course, but don't put it in the hot tub. It will probably ruin whatever is inside.
I'm just going to find the first empty space and lay it down, open it up, and look at the back.
Okay. So when you do, you indeed recognize Talis's handwrite, and you find a very odd combination of words there. The first word is low, and then the following: iron roof, glass walls, burns and burns, but never falls. You got that?
Iron roof, glass walls, burns and burns, but never falls.
Yes, and the word low in front before all of this strange sentence. So, who goes first into the hot tub?
Me.
I have some of the. Remember when we were in the high priest's bathroom and there were some bath salts that I stole?
Yes.
I will take out one of the bags, and I mean, if you're going in first, I'll say you might want to try these. They're pretty special for the bath. You don't eat them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me concerned for a minute. I didn't like look at eating them. Okay, I can try it. Yes.
Okay, so Khalid is basically helping you all. He takes your clothes and shows you to a small, there in each of the 2 rooms that Zara showed you, there are 2 beds and 2 chests. He shows you the chest and gives you a key so you can put all your precious belongings there, but he takes all your clothes and says that they are headed to the laundry. And they'll be ready for you the next day. Zara will produce, leggings and, pants and a nice clean shirt for you to wear while you are at the residence of Nathek. Then each of you spends...
I have a lot of secret pockets in my clothing, so it probably takes Roscoe a while to empty out like all of the pockets.
Yes, so Khalid kind of looks with wide eyes as you kind of produce more and more and more objects from your pockets. And then you simply have some free time to rest and relax and enjoy your bath and your clean clothes, which is something you haven't done for a while. Khalid will then simply hand out some cookies and maybe bread with some, onion jam on it, so you can eat something and refresh yourself while waiting for Nethek. And Zara says she is going to prepare a large dinner for all of you.
Is this her son that's giving these things out, isn't it?
This is what? Sorry?
Is this her son that's giving us this stuff?
Yes. So.
Whenever he comes in, I will sort of ask more questions about Baldur's Gate.
Okay. Any specific thing you'd like to know?
No, he's just generally interested in Baldur's Gate. He's never been here before, so anything the boy can tell him, he wants to make it a conversation between him and the boy, to get the boy's trust.
Okay.
So he's just asking him questions and things like that.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to do?
I kind of want to have a sort of a group conference or conversation about a couple things. Especially with Thokk. I have one specific thing to ask Thokk. Remember when we were escaping from El Terrell and there was that chest that the dragon left for us in the tunnel, or his agents? There were 2 potions in that chest, and we've been so busy on the road, I forgot to have you maybe look at them, Thokk, but could you identify the potions and see what they are?
Sure. I can do that.
I probably should have told you about that, reminded you before you went and spent money on more potions, but we can't have too many potions, right?
You never have too many healing pots. So I'll cast Identify as a ritual and see what he's got.
Okay, so after the hot tab, you simply sit there, ruffle through your stuff, and identify the potions. So the first one is indeed a potion of healing, but it is a potion of greater healing. The other one is a potion of sorry, wait a minute. It is a potion of resistance, and more specific, poison resistance.
Okay, cool. I don't know if anybody wants the resistance one. Maybe Tal, or does anyone?
Yes.
Who among us is most likely to get poisoned?
The way I'm going through food, it could be me.
I don't think it works on food poisoning.
Oh, that's a really rubbish potion then, isn't it? Whoever made it has a serious flaw in his ability.
So, Devlin, with your small back and forth with Khalid, you learned the following. You learned that the city is basically governed by the Council of Four, which are four dukes that are they're basically the richest and most famous merchants in Baldur's Gate, and he tells you that the city originated from a holdout of pirates, and these dukes are like descendants of those pirates, but now they are all legitimized and have their own rules and offices, etc. Besides the dukes, there is a parliament and like a, how should I say, a class that consists of the upper city residents. These are called the patriarchs, and while they don't have like an official duty in the city, since they are basically the upper class of the city, they have a lot of influence.
They're the equivalent of maybe nobles or something.
Yes.
That don't necessarily.
Right. But these are nobles. Think about it this way: like, if your grandfather was a pirate, you can't call yourself a noble. To several decades later, you simply take another title. So, patriarchs is what they are called, but basically descendants of pirates who made their gold a long time ago.
Yeah, the equivalent. Yeah, the robber barons from probably American history.
Something like that, yes. And he also tells you about the Flaming Fist, which is like a police that has founded to be. It's basically a mercenary company that was eventually tightly entwined with the city rulers, and these are like the police of the city. They're very prosperous. And they collect tax and keep the streets clean, but they don't venture out, outside the city, and especially not into the outer city where the guild is operating. Now, he obviously doesn't tell you all that in that detail, but he simply, you get all this information by simply asking the right questions.
Yeah. What were the mercenary company that acted as police again? What was their name?
Flaming Fists.
Is this like a group discussion?
A what?
Is this like, are we all like gathered up?
If you want, yes. Sure, why not?
Okay. As a small-time mercenary, do I know any stuff about the Flaming Fist?
Roll your history check. I'll tell you.
History. I know a lot.
Okay. So what you do know about the Flaming Fists is that they keep the lower city secure. The upper city, the patriarchs are living, is privately secured by the city watch. So there is like this dividing factor within Baldur's Gate, like the upper city and the lower city. They each have their own police, which causes a lot of friction and headaches for the four dukes. You do know that the Flaming Fists can be annoying, as in, we are the law. It doesn't matter if you did something against the law or not. We decide what is the law right now, and if we want you arrested or flogged or thrown to prison, etc., etc., things can get dirty. But they don't do it a lot. But when they do it, it's like wholeheartedly.
They're no fun.
It depends. It varies. This is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, that's Tal's. Like after explaining it or discussing a few information that I know, I just end it by saying they're no fun.
Okay. Anything else you want to discuss before Nathak returns?
I do. I want to talk with them about the fortune that I got, and that Gamori said that it seemed that I would be going to a castle shrouded in mist in a swamp in the near future, which doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but who knows why. And then she also said something about a big eye looking at the sky. And the most important thing she said was that there's a bridge with a gap in it in a distant land, and that's where my mother is. And I know that Thokk, you've heard a lot of stories, and Devlin, you seem like a very well-traveled person, and then, you know, Tal is Tal, and I just thought maybe you guys have heard of any of these places or been there, or if you know anything that would shed some light on my fortune, because I completely believe everything she said.
Well, I will rack my brain to see if I can maybe gain some idea of that. But I may be able to find something out if I'm given a little time. So after dinner, I will have a good think about your dream. It is a very strange dream.
Okay. Well, I mean, it was a fortune, but that's
fortune.
And also, like, I have a question about the bath salts. Were they like super nice?
Oh, super nice. Like Khalid even smiled and kind of extracted his hands to get some for a future bath. Obviously, you can see that he's also very clean, so he probably used the hot tub a lot.
Sure, I'll give him some.
I have to say they were very good. What do I smell like? Do I smell like something specific? But it was like dropping into a bath of pure cream.
Yeah. So think about it this way. It's been a long time since any of you had this this much time to yourself to simply rest and recover and clean yourself. Obviously, Nathak is very invests a lot in all this plumbing and comfort. So this is a very nice treat that you have all got.
What time is it? Sorry, roundabout.
So when you basically finish your business with the hot tub and drying your clothes and measuring, the new ones and eating something and maybe napping, it's approaching dinner, and basically the smells from Zara's kitchen wake you up and remind you how hungry you are again. And at this point of time, Nathek appears, and he looks very bright and smiling, and says, "Well, I have some wonderful news for you and some gifts. Dinner? Please seat yourself, and I will quickly clean myself from the road-worn troubles that have plagued me recently. I'll be joining you in a minute."
Very well.
Okay. So you are seated, and Zara and Khalid basically serve you with very small dishes. It's like toasts, basically, with a pile of fried vegetables on top and a seasoning unlike anything you ever tasted. It's thinner than, let's say, hummus, and it tastes kind of bitter and spicy, which is a very interesting combination. And while you are munching on that, Nathak joins you smelling like flowers, and he has this sack in front of him. He pulls out from the sack a purple bottle with a very interesting label on it. It's called Dragon Mash number 3. And he says that this wine specifically was brought from a very, very distant land. And he bought it from a trader from that land. And it's a very, very rare wine. He says that the winery itself is probably not producing anything. And he says that he bought it for you because of your help, the way that you helped him, and you helped him make his way to Baldur's Gate. And, you know, without you, the Etin was probably going to sink the ship. So he owes you a lot. So he simply places it on the table. And then he looks at you, Roscoe, and says, "I also found something very interesting for you. I really hope you like it." And then he produces a small wooden box. It's made from maple wood, but the top of it is rosewood. And when you open it, it's like a cloth inside, very soft, and it's exactly the size of your spoon. So you can place your spoon inside. And he says, "You want to see magic?"
Always.
He hands over this small box to Roscoe and says, "Roscoe, put your spoon inside."
Roscoe's very nervous about that, actually.
"Oh, no, it will be fine. Don't worry."
What's gonna happen? I mean,
To be fair, it's his spoon, so
Think
if
about
it's
it.
going to disappear, it's his spoon that's going to disappear.
Nothing of this sort. I'll tell you what, Roscoe. You'll put the spoon inside, you'll close your eyes, and you'll think about a specific spice or seasoning you like. And then you can open your eyes and see what happens.
Okay.
So the spoons.
So I'll put the spoon in the cloth, and I'll think about a very particular and rare kind of mushroom that is Roscoe's favorite.
Okay. So you close the lid, you think about it, you open the lid, and surprisingly enough, on the spoon is one mushroom that is exactly what you thought about. You know that you can grind it, you can slice it, you can season with it, you can dry it, but it's there and it's real.
I take it and cram it in my mouth.
And Nathek says, "This will work several times a day. I'm not sure how many times, but whoever I bought it from said that if you'll bathe this box in the sunlight, it will regain its abilities again."
Oh, wow. Wow, that's really nice. Thank you, Nathak. That's really cool.
Well, everything for my friends. Then he opens up, he pulls out a small leathery pouch and, crams his hand inside and pulls out a silvery chain from which dangling a dark shard-like crystal. And he looks at you, Devlin, and says, well, you have been my companion for the last couple of days, and you have been a tremendous help in bringing me safe and sound here. So here is something I found specifically for you.
Well, thank you. I am very honored. It looks very beautiful.
It's not only beautiful, it is made from stone that is only found. Remind me your patron's realm. I think it's Fae, right? Devlin?
Sorry, yeah, it's a Fae. Yeah, he's a Fae.
So he says this is a precious extraplanar shard that was taken from the Feywild, and while you use it, you will learn spells that you haven't been able to cast before. At least this is what I'm told. Try it on.
I will place it. I'll look deep into the gem first, because it probably swirls and things like that.
Exactly.
So he'll sort of be a bit lost in the in the gem, and then he will put it on.
Okay. So mechanically, you can try once a day to cast a cantrip that you don't know. All you need to do is make a DC 10 intelligence arcana check. If you succeed, you cast the spell. Otherwise, the spell fails, and so is the action that is used to cast the spell is basically wasted.
So any cantrip from any class or anything like that, yeah?
From the Warlock spell list, and this is a cantrip that you don't know.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
I want to thank you for this, and I will stand up, walk to him, and shake his hand. And then I will say, I am very pleased with this.
Okay.
Although I have a confession to make. After the meals that we have had in your glorious house, I wish to marry, and I'll point to the lady. So I may have to steal her from you. No offense, obviously. And he'll smile when he's saying it, because he's joking, you know.
Yeah, so she giggles and he laughs heartily and kind of, pats you on the back and says, wait, there is more. And then he produces a very long and thin wooden box. It's dark. It's made of there is kind of runes that run through it that are obviously rosewood, but the rest of it is of a special tree called darkwood, which is it's hard as steel, and from it he produces a flute, and he hands it to Thokk and says, play it and think about something. Think about a scene. Think about something you would like us to see or to experience. And play it. See what happens.
Okay, I'll give it a try. I don't know how to play a flute, but I'll take it.
Okay. So, do you try to play it?
I'll try to play it.
Okay, and what do you think about while you do?
I'll think about Talus.
Okay. So, roll your performance check.
I'm sorry, you cut out. Was that performance?
Yes, please. So,
that would be a natural 20.
so Thokk basically dazzles you all with his playing, even though he just said that he cannot play this flute. Obviously, something clicked. And while he was playing this wonderful, light-hearted, but touched with sadness melody, images of elves dancing and laughing and swirling kind of sprinkled into existence on the table like a miniature play or show, and they are made of light and sparkles and particles of glittering dust, and while Thokk is playing they are kind of dancing on the table, and when he stops the last tune dissolves them. But Thokk, when you finish your playing, you can see that your friends are, basically dead silent and amazed by your playing. Nathek and Zara and Khalid are like entranced.
Wow.
Yes. Well, I wasn't expecting that. And you can see Nathek basically kind of, removes a tear, kind of washes it away from his face. I did prepare something special for you, Tal. I've noticed you really enjoy working with hand axes. And I did found this for you. And he, remind me, Tal, are you proficient with a battle axe or just hand axes?
Yes, I am proficient with every weapon.
Okay. So he produces a battle axe, but the battle axe is kind of wrapped with leathers and ropes. And he looks at Zara and tell her, reduce the flame in the lantern. Simply let's make it a bit darker here. She does exactly that, and then he slowly unravels the weapon, and when he removes or flips the leathery cover, the whole room is basically now glowing as if pure moonlight is radiating from your axe, from this axe. And he hands it to you and says, this axe was blessed by elves and was left in a faraway corner in the world where the moon shines without any disturbance or cloud. It collected the moonlight for years and years and was brought to me by one of my friends who was willing to sell it to me. It will be a light in the darkness, or any darkness that you will meet in the future. I only wish it will be a light that will guide you through any hardness you might meet. And then he hands the weapon to you.
I needed? Oh no. I bow in respect, and I raise it high.
So
I just give it a moment of silence, and then I sit down, and then I grab the boy and I go, tonight we drink, except for you.
And with that, basically, Nathek and Zara laughs. And indeed, Nathek sits there silently and simply enjoys the food and your company. And he says, well, let's eat. And when the night grows dark, we'll sit in my small living room. We'll light up pipes and we'll discuss our plans for the future. I did hear news about Grimmelk convoy, which is about to reach the city in 2 days' time, so we'll have time to prepare. And if we can connect Gribalk to the cult and produce evidence for the priors, we might be doing the city a real favor. And then he raises his glass filled with Dragon Mash number 3 and says, to friendship and to new beginnings and new friends.
I'll place my glass up, to toast with him.
Yeah.
Yep, Roscoe toasts.
I lift up Roscoe so he can toast it.
Okay. And with your raised glasses and delicious dinner in front of you, we'll wrap it up for today and see what happens on the next session.
I will. How long have we got until the light fades?
So it's basically dinner. So you have like an hour or an hour and a half before night falls.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I couldn't hear what you said. It sort of blacked out for a while.
Like an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay, I'm just going to go and have a walk around the area, just to get a bit of familiarity with it.
Great. No problem. And what I need from you guys to the next session, if you can send me a sentence, it could be in the chat or an email or in the forum, whatever you want. What do you want to do with those 2 days that you have? If you have any specific thing you want to do, simply send me a line or two so I'll be better prepared. So I won't have to improvise it all. Can be fun, but if I'll know what you want, I can probably do better.
Okay. Yeah, that seems fine.
Okay.
I think for me, I'll just send it to you via Discord message.
Okay, yeah, no problem. Discord is fine. Okay, guys. So thank you for today. No combats today, but a lot of role playing, and we'll meet next week.
Okay. Also, if you could do me a favor, Ido, when you post the episode, could you sort of note down again like the presents that we got and
Yes.
sort of their properties, because I'm not quite sure what mine does. I didn't write it all down.
No problem. Yes, I'll write it down for you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, just looking forward to meeting up with the local branch of the Inter-County Association of Disadvantaged Self-Employed Artisans and Underachievers.
Is that a really nice word name for the Thieves Guild?
Basically.
Awesome.
Oh, then
Okay.
I would like to also find the house that the orphanage for young adult females that aids lonely adventurers such as myself.
Uh-huh. Okay, so write it all down. So I'll be more than happy
Physical
to.
therapy. You're looking for physical therapy.
Yes, exactly. Physical therapy. So
Yeah, thank you for the session.
no, that's been a pleasure always.
Yeah, it's been good.
Great.
Quick question for Roscoe. This is for Roscoe. Is Roscoe married?
No.
Is that a proposal?
Tal will drag Roscoe for physical therapy.
Ooh.
Oh, I thought you were proposing to him or something. I thought this was sort of, I was going to be clapping and all sorts. And
You're still going to go find a house, though, right? You're not just going to, take Roscoe for physical therapy.
I'm sure there's yeah. I'm sure you'll find a nice place that can serve him well. Okay, but that's next week. So do send me your requests, and I will summarize and make sure that your presents are detailed mechanically, so you'll know what they do. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. See you next week.
Stay warm.
Awesome. Thank you.